Today on the Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast, we're going to be talking about when is the right time to quit your job and go full-time into real estate.
You're listening to another Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast, where you'll hear short, direct answers to your biggest real estate questions. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the Bigger Pockets forums by using hashtag AskBP. And don't forget to pick up your copy of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing and other great content when you sign up for your free account at biggerpockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
Hey everyone, this is Brandon from biggerpockets.com, and today's question comes to us from Bree from Chicago. And Bree asks, when did you feel it was right to do real estate investing full time? So interesting story, backstory to my life. I actually quit my job twice and went into real estate full time 2 separate times. The first time I was 21, maybe I just turned 22, and I decided that real estate was going to be the path that I was going to take to success. This was back in 07, 08. And so I flipped one house successfully. It was my own house I lived in. I lived in it for 9 months, sold it, made some good money. I thought, man, this is a lot of fun. I'm going to do this full time. Quit my job. I'd been watching a lot of Flip That House and Flip This House and all those flipping shows. And I was super pumped. And I said, I'm going to be a full-time real estate investor. And so what I ended up doing is buying a duplex, living in one half of it, renting the other half out so we could live for free, something that I call house hacking. And then I quit my job and decided to go into flipping full time. I ended up flipping for about a year or so. I think maybe I was full time probably for 2, maybe even 3 years. I was full time doing real estate, doing flipping houses. But you know, if you remember 2007, 2008, the market was continually dropping and it was not real great in that time. And so I was trying to flip. The houses weren't selling. I ended up turning them into rentals. But when you turn a house that you're trying to flip into a rental, you don't really get paid. So during that time, I didn't make a lot of money. I mean, I was 21, 22, 23. So it didn't really matter that much. I mean, we were living pretty low budget, not having to pay a lot for rent because of our house hacking situation. My wife was working at Starbucks at the time. And, you know, we made that work full time. However, it wasn't easy. It was very, very difficult. And again, turning them into rentals wasn't a lot of money coming in. It definitely wasn't the dream of what I thought quitting my job would be. So at one point, I flipped this house and couldn't sell it, tried to refinance it. I couldn't get a refi. So I went into the bank. I went to a bunch of different banks, but then I went into one bank, sat down with the manager for a good hour and explained on like these detailed spreadsheets exactly why this house should be refinanced and why it was a great deal and why I needed it and all that. And at the end of the day, she said, I couldn't help you, but I can give you a full-time job. And so that led to me working at a bank for a year or so, which was the absolute worst job I ever had. I loved the people I worked with, hated the actual position. After that, I ended up quitting once again after I bought my 24-unit apartment complex and then ended up doing full-time real estate for another couple of years until I realized that I enjoyed hanging out on Bigger Pockets more. And so now I'm back to spending probably at least 40 hours a week just hanging out on Bigger Pockets and doing stuff like this show. So I've actually quit twice and come back 3 times. So back to the original question from Bree, which when do you feel it was right time? When did you feel it was right to do real estate full time? So for me personally, when did I feel it was right? I felt it was right first when my passion and excitement made me want to quit my job. I don't think that's always the best way to go though. The second time I actually financially was able to. And I think that's probably a better gauge of whether or not it's good to quit your job or not. It's whether you're financially able to. I actually generally encourage people to try to quit your job eventually, but I don't say to do that prematurely. You know, like if you can go full-time into real estate, great. So real estate is actually broken up into 2 things. Maybe this will help make things a little bit clearer. Broken up into 2 different sides. There is the investment side of real estate and there is the career side of real estate. I'm not talking about agencies or being an agent. I'm talking about the career side of real estate investing. And that would be like flipping or wholesaling. So you can quit your job if you have enough income coming in to cover your job, right? That makes sense for everyone. So my thinking is, if you want to quit your one job and get another job like flipping or wholesaling, which are jobs or at least businesses, you can do that if you know you're going to be successful in that. But you're going from a safe job, which is 40 hours a week, guaranteed money generally. I mean, yeah, you could lose your job, but it's pretty secure, to a completely commission-based job, which is what wholesaling and flipping are. That's risky, right? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying it's risky. A lot of people lose money on their first flip. So here's a couple of recommendations. One, I would not quit your job to go flip your first house or to become a new wholesaler. You need to know that you can be successful in those areas before you quit your job. So hustle while you have your job and make the money. Now, the other side of it is the investment side. That's the cash flow that comes from rental properties. Again, if you have enough cash flow from your rental properties that you want to be able to quit your job and live off that cash flow, that's a choice that you can make. That is what I did. So when I was left that bank, I was able to live off our cash flow. However, at the time, it wasn't a lot of cash flow, but it was enough that I didn't have to work anymore. So I was quote unquote retired, which anybody who owns rental properties and manages their own knows that that's never the case. But I didn't have to work. However, what I realized in that time was that I was living on my cash flow. In other words, every bit of money that came in, I was spending on bills, which seems like kind of the dream, right? Like I just don't have to do anything. However, the problem with that is that you eliminate the chance for making exponential wealth and growing wealth exponentially. What I mean by that is, if you don't recycle your profits in a business, your business might eventually go under. Now, maybe I wouldn't have gone under with real estate, but all that money that I was spending, it made, from a financial standpoint, from a mathematical standpoint, it makes much more sense for me to take the cash flow and go invest it into future deals. Does that make sense? I'm basically taking the cash flow and I'm recycling it. I'm doing exponential growth. I'm getting that return on interest based on my previous return on interest based on my previous return on interest. It just grows and grows and grows and grows. It's that curve that goes up like a hockey stick, right? Not like a straight line. So that is that was probably the largest reason why I ended up deciding that I didn't want to live on my cash flow anymore. I wanted to actually earn income from a job so that I could then generate more and more and more wealth that way, and faster wealth that way. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas. People listening to this, Bree in Chicago and everyone else, is when's the right time you quit your job? Again, this answer comes a lot on this show, but I can't give you an exact answer for you. But for me, hopefully that sheds some light on it. So finally today, I'm going to end with the usual success quote. Today's quote is actually from Richard Branson, and he said this: "Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming." I like that quote. Richard Branson. So with that, we're getting out of here. Just remember, in the pursuit of your dreams, don't just learn, take action. For Bigger Pockets, this is Brandon signing off.
You've just heard another episode of the Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the Bigger Pockets forum by using hashtag AskBP. And for more incredible real estate investing tools and education, including a free download of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, head over to biggerpockets.com and sign up for your free account today. We'll see you on the next show.